Poland will hold elections, probably in June, to choose a successor to Lech Kaczynski, who died in a plane crash nearly 2 weeks ago. What does Kaczynski's death mean for Polish politics? Has the president's untimely death created a political climate favorable to his twin brother? Could the tragedy, in some ironic way, foster a better relationship between Poland and Russia? Here with us to sort out some of these questions is Andrzej Dobrowolski of the Polish daily Nowy Dziennik. Also with us is Storozynski of the Kosciuszko Foundation, which promotes understanding between Poland and the U.S. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Elections in June. Who is the leading candidate?
Well, the leading candidate was Lech Kaczynski in terms of his party, the Law and Justice Party, and the one who probably would have won that election is now the acting president, Bronisław Komorowski. So most likely Komorowski will win the election anyway.
Andrzej, what about Kaczynski's twin brother?
We don't know yet whether he will decide to run for the presidency. He was sick recently for obvious reasons. He doesn't feel very well right now after his brother's death. And we were told today that his party will have the meeting Saturday and they will talk about this.
He was known as, in some quarters, as the evil twin, wasn't he?
Well, he was the less popular of the two brothers. That's a fact. He was certainly a little bit more of an odd character, too. While Lech was married and had a very popular wife, she was a very popular first lady, Lech, on the other hand, was a bit of an oddball. He never had a bank account, he never had a driver's license, and he lived with his mother. So can you imagine putting someone like that in charge of the banking system in your country? Probably not.
Why was he known as an evil twin? I'm really fascinated by this whole characterization of him.
I think that he was a very smart person. He managed to speak publicly as a prime minister without reading. He was the best advisor of the president of Poland. Some people say that he was the one who decided about a lot of issues. For example, when president was in the European Union in Brussels, he called his brother in order to ask him what he's supposed to do. So he was like a brain of this team.
Let's move away from Kaczynski's for a little bit and talk about the leading candidate for president. Tell us a little bit about him. I think his name is Komorowski.
Komorowski.
Yes.
Komorowski was the leader of the legislature, the Sejm in Poland, and he just won the primary elections for his party's seat, the Civic Platform. And he ran against the foreign minister, Radosław Sikorski, who's also quite popular. Okay. And it was a close race, but Komorowski stepped up and beat him. And his party right now seems to have, the pendulum seems to be swinging their way. So
what's his party's name?
The Civic Platform. And the Civic Platform, he was ahead of Kaczynski in all of the public opinion polls anyway.
Why it makes him so popular, Andrzej?
Are you referring to Mr.
Yes.
Komorowski?
Yes.
He was not so popular as some other politicians, but right now, after this terrible disaster, he is one of the leading Polish politicians, and he really has the chance because there is no opposition. Opposition was decimated in Poland, and his party had chosen him as a candidate for the
Do you see any sort of sympathy vote here for the ruling party?
If they had a sympathetic candidate, possibly. But it's not just, you know, Kaczynski's party was sort of to the right. They were the more conservative party. Komorowski's party is the centrist party. In addition to Kaczynski, you had the leftist candidate who also died in that airplane.
Okay.
So out of the three major candidates, two of them were killed in that plane crash.
Okay. Wow. Let's move away from that a little bit and move into Polish-Russian relationship. Where does it stand now, Alex?
Well, this was a major breakthrough. The fact that the Russians now, for the first time, are openly talking about the Katyn massacre. Before all of this happened, just 2 weeks ago, there were polls in Russia that showed only 18% of the Russian population even knew that it were the Soviets that killed these Polish soldiers in those woods. And
when did this occur?
This occurred in 1940. Okay. So this is the 70th anniversary of that massacre. And the word Katyn is very much symbolic of not just those 22,000 Polish officers that had a bullet put in the back of their head, but there were 1 million Poles that were taken to Siberia. When the war started, Germany came in from the west and Russia came in from the east. The Germans immediately began to start murdering Polish Jews. The Russians began murdering the Polish elite and taking them to Siberia. The reason for this was they thought that they could behead the elite of the country and install a puppet government in Poland, which they eventually did.
But ironically, something similar happened here, though it was a mechanical failure of the plane crash. So where do relations go forward now?
Oh, I think that they will go because it was a quite different accident, and Russians demonstrated their sympathy. The president and the prime minister were on the scene of this catastrophe, and not only their statements but their behavior, they demonstrated that they are human, and it was very impressive, and Polish people thanked them. I couldn't imagine, even during the communist era, that somebody from Poland, even if somebody was forced, would thank the Russian leader. Right now, in front of Russian embassy, we could see a banner stating, "Thank you, Mr. Putin, who was not very popular in Poland before what happened."
From what I understand, Alec, relations between Russia and Poland is largely based on oil, right?
That's exactly right. At the moment, Poland imports about 90% of its oil from Russia and about 60 to 70% of its natural gas.
That's a huge dependency on the country.
That's they're completely dependent. And Russia started building a pipeline. In fact, they had the ceremony the day before the crash, where they're building a pipeline around Poland directly to Germany through the Baltic Sea. And many Poles see this as an attempt to go around Poland. And Kaczynski believed that, as well as some of the other politicians in Poland. Now, what will decide this relationship? There's this feeling of feel good right now. The Russians came and they mourned, but Russia has used oil in the past as a way to punish its neighbors that did not go along. They punished the Ukraine several years ago. So now the Poles are afraid that the Russians will do the same to them. So a lot of it depends on whether or not there will be some long-term contracts signed in terms of oil and gas for Poland.
Quickly, before we leave, I'd like to touch on the U.S.-Poland relationship. I know that a lot of Poles were really upset that Obama didn't have the courtesy to sign a book or even send a cable or public message of condolences. So where are relations between Poland and the United States, Andrzej?
I think that these relations are pretty good, even if in recent time there were some disagreement between the Polish government and the United States, but it concerned mostly security issues, because President George Bush decided to launch elements of the system which was to be installed in Poland. President Obama changed this decision, and we still don't know how it will end up. I don't think that this gesture, or lack of this gesture, will prevail, and that it will decide about the future of the Polish-American relations. But now some people are really disappointed. They thought that Mr. Obama would do something else, that he would demonstrate this human face as Russian leaders were able to show.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. This is a story we'll continue to cover, and I hope you'll join us again. Andrzej Dobrowolski and Alex Storozynski, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.